İsyan başlıyor. Gerisi gelmedi. Sevindim.
Recording in progress.
All right. We can just continue from wherever we left yesterday. Since you guys have all the slides, you should be able to see which screen you guys see now. The presentation.
What is the use of XML file
Okay.
SF developer interview?
Yep. So let me revise a little bit from yesterday, then we can continue. So we talk about the LWC, and the extension of the LWC is Lightning Web Component. If you notice that, especially I asked Sanjay also to like clarify it, but there is something still confusing people. That's why I determined it like Lightning component includes Aura component and LWC. And Sanjay says that confusion is coming because first thing, they started as a Lightning component inside the Salesforce. And then there was only Aura component at that time. Since we said Aura is old version, old technology, and the LWC is the new one. And then after until that point, they were using Lightning component just for the Aura components because there was nothing else. After they created the LWC, Lightning Web Component, the main difference is right here, web. Otherwise, this is also Lightning component. But if somebody who is using the Salesforce for a long time, Sanjay says, when they say Lightning component, they mean the Aura component. Because they used to use the Aura component as a Lightning component before the LWC. That's why when you get any question about the Lightning component, you should just make sure what they mention exactly. Because when I get any question which is starting with the Lightning component, I'm just trying to stop them and clarify it. I'm just saying that, are you mentioning the like Aura component or the Lightning Web component? Because when you separate them, it is gonna make it easy for you to explain it, because some of the syntax and the other stuff, it is different. Does it make sense?
Yes.
For example, if they are asking what are the like component bundle for the Lightning components, what do you understand? Are they talking about the Aura component or Lightning Web component?
It is for Aura component.
Yes, because since the component bundle, it is inside the Aura component, you can easily identify that. But sometimes it is gonna be a question just saying Lightning component and you are not gonna be identifying like it is Aura or LWC. You can always ask, can you give me more details? Do you mention like Aura components or Lightning Web components? Because according to Sanjay, if you need to explain it and if you need to give them some details, if they ask you the same question, like, what do you think? What do we mention about the Lightning component? If they are an old user for Salesforce, most probably they are just talking about the Aura component. I just wanted to underline it again. because it is just about the words. It can mess up everything, or it can make it clear. So instead of Aura components, Salesforce starts to use the web components. And we talk about that there is a standard and this is useful for the Salesforce. And also it is creating a very good looking UI interface. That's why they prefer to use the Lightning Web Component. And most of the companies, they are going through with the Lightning Web Component instead of the Aura component right now. But if they are using the Salesforce for a long time, again, most probably they have some Aura component codes. They can try to switch from Aura component to Lightning Web Component. That is the main purpose you are seeing the Aura components now. While we are writing the Lightning Web Components, we are just using these three and XML file. Yesterday, I also shared that one.
Memlik Bey,
Yes.
which one are we using in our org in, let's say, in like one of the home pages? Is that Lightning Web Component? Like the standard ones. Like we added Aura component, right? But the ones that are already there.
You mean the standard ones?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I don't know, like, if it is Lightning components.
And this is not something we can tell by just looking at them, right? Because
We
they
cannot.
can exactly look
Yeah,
very similar to each other or look the same, but can be totally different, like
that's correct.
different component type.
That's correct. Because we are not going to be able to identify by just looking from the UI side. Think about like this. We created some flows, right?
Yes.
And we insert them, I don't know where, most probably in the account somewhere. See, this one we created with the flow. Is that correct?
Yes.
What is the difference between this one and this one when you check it? Or this one or this one? Because this chatter one, it is the standard component.
You mean like in terms of the look? The look is
Yeah.
the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
they look very like same.
That's why we are not going to be able to
Mhm.
identify. And like if we go through the details, for example, yesterday I also noticed that you guys are sometimes confusing. There are two ways to go to the Lightning App Builder. If you are going to create new one, you should go through the setup and Lightning App Builder. Or if you are going to the specific location, for example, you would like to go to the account record page and you would like to edit it, then you can just go and say edit page. Then it's going to take you to the Lightning App Builder record page for that specific record page, account record page. From here, like when we click any of these components, for example, this one, this is a standard one and it is not giving me any other clue like about the Aura component or Lightning Web component. It's not giving me any clue. So I'm not sure, but if you ask me which one they are gonna prefer, they are gonna prefer the new one. They are gonna prefer most probably the Lightning Web component.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Since when we chat, like drag and drop somewhere for example, the flow, one of the component, then what we were doing, we were just checking and adding the flow, whatever we would like to do. We were just choosing one of the flow. Then it is just becoming like the other components. This one or this one. But I cannot tell this one is Aura or this one is Lightning Web Component by just looking that. Yeah, for the Lightning Web Component, we said 3 files we needed and XML file, which is something you're not gonna change lots of stuff inside only one line, then you are gonna be fine. We talk about the Lightning Web Component module, and we talk about like the import here. This is something you are gonna use for the JS files for the Lightning Web Component. Let me show you guys that one also. Yeah, this one. So whenever you are typing the JS one, which is JavaScript, you are gonna start with this import. Import Lightning element from LWC. And then this is also fix something. Export default class, then your class name, extends Lightning element, then you are gonna type it in. And this is the closing. So basically, this is the structure of your JavaScript file while you are creating the Lightning Web Component.
Mevlut Bey,
Yep.
may I ask you something? Where from did you open that page? Maybe did I miss something?
No, this is my personal folder.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not related to our Salesforce org.
Okay.
The name, it looks like what we use, but this is Lightning Web Component.
Yes, I thought, yeah, I was confusing. Okay, I understand.
For the XML, yesterday I also showed that one. Let me show you again. This is the XML file. You are just gonna replace this one from false to true. That's it. It's not something hard. And then we talk about Aura is the old one, but it can include the Lightning Web Component one inside. Is it possible to do the opposite? If you have Lightning Web Component, can you like take some Aura components and put inside the Lightning Web Component? Is it possible? Let me draw it.
It looks possible. Mevlut Bey.
This is Aura component. This is Lightning Web Component. According to this, it says this is possible. Or a component can contain Lightning Web Component. Now I'm asking I'm just saying, is it possible if I would like to put the Aura component inside the Lightning Web Component? This is not.
No.
Mouse right here. So Lightning Web Component cannot, because it is no, contain the Aura component. Yeah, we talk about, like, for example, for the Aura components, we said like there are some parent components, child components, they can have some kind of relationship in between them. In here also we can call the Lightning Web component from the another Lightning Web component, because both of them are the Lightning Web component. We talk about the camel and kebab cases, and we, if you guys remember, I already draw this thing. So if you are starting with lowercase and going capital and lowercase again, something like this, this is camel cases. Because Salesforce is not gonna accept this kind of kebab cases. And for this one, what we said, there are some meat pieces right here. And this is C, this is my, and this is component. They are connected with one of the stick. Think about like that. Now, today, we are just gonna talk about something more specific. Salesforce called them decorators. These decorators are used inside the JavaScript file only. Let me check if I can find any used one. Okay, let me explain them, then I can go through. I couldn't find any example now. Okay, so there are three decorators. One of them is API, the other one is track, and the other one is wire. You can also think about like this. We use this one for the feature method, if you guys remember. So you can call them like annotations also, but they specifically say these are the decorators. API, decorator, track, decorator, and wire decorator. If they are gonna ask anything specific with the Lightning Web component, they might ask you guys these three. They can just pick one of them. It is up to the interviewer. But they can pick one of these and they can ask you to explain it. That's why we are just gonna try to give the basic explanation for all these three. So what is the use of the API decorator? This decorator, it makes the property as public. So when it makes the property as public, HTML can access the component's public properties. So If you guys remember, we were using the word of the public in Java, Apex. In that way, our class will be accessible from the other classes. The same purpose. All public properties are reactive, which means the framework observes the property for change. When property changes the value, then the framework reacts and renders the component accordingly. So if is there any change then on the property, then it will affect the framework and it will render it again for that component. Basically, this API makes our properties or fields as public. API public. The second one is the track decorator. Track decorator, it observes the changes to the property for any object or element of array, something else. Like you can just say, observe the changes for the properties. And framework render the component when the change occurs. So it is tracking for the change of the properties. If there is a change, then framework render the component accordingly. These are all gotten from here. This is the Salesforce documentation for the developers. And this is the guide for the Lightning Web component for the developer guide. Decorators are here. API is one of them. To expose a public property, it makes public. And track, it is just tracking the changes on the property. Accordingly, the framework makes some change and render the component again. Now, the last one, wire. It provides a way to get and bind data from the Salesforce org. You can just think about like this. This is trying to do a connection between your code, JavaScript code, and the Salesforce org. There is a connection, and this connection is getting provided by the wire. I'm just imagining like this. This is my org. And where do I use this wire decorator? Inside my JavaScript, right? And this connection will be provided with wire. This is the purpose of the wire decorator. But if you would like to see the how they explain it here, to read Salesforce data, Lightning Web Components use a reactive wire service. When the wire service provisions data, the component renders. Components use wire in their JavaScript class to specify a wire adapter or an Apex method. If you would like to see more details, then you can just click one of them. But instead of this, I'm just trying to imagine this connection. Basically, it is saying me the same stuff. But they are using like better sentences. They are not talking with the basic language, but I'm just trying to specify everything in basic because we are just learning, and to remember it, I can just remember with the basic way. I cannot use the same sentences they are using inside the Salesforce documentation. And also in the interview, they would like to hear from you. They don't want to hear the book sentences. Does it make sense? Or do you guys have any question about these three? Because these three are important.
Good for now.
All right. Yesterday, I think Brunel was asking about the rendering, or what is render. And Bru explained a little bit about her job. So there are some different type of renders, and these are not really you should not need to memorize this kind of stuff. But since it is saying it is a conditional render, you can see here, normally it is starting with the template tag. Inside the tag, this is the ending tag. Actually, it is here. And inside the template tag, you are using some if condition. If it is true, then are details visible? Then you can see this. There is a true block here. If it is false, then you can see this is a false block. Which means you can use some if condition inside your template tag. And it can render according to the condition. If the condition is true, it's gonna render this, and it is gonna show you only this result. If it is false, it is gonna run and it's gonna show you this one. It is possible it can render a list also. So this list, you can just think about for each loop. Like what we were doing in the for each loop. Do you guys remember the syntax?
Yes. For parentheses.
Okay, let me try to write it down for you guys. Oh, let me use this text. Okay, for
Parentheses and our object like account.
okay, our test object.
And our variable name, like ACC or something.
ACC,
Colon and
Colon.
our list.
ACC list.
And close parentheses and open a curly parentheses.
And inside it, we can just type, right? So basically, you can see not everything is same here, but inside I need to get rid of this. Inside of the template tag, because it is ending here, you are inserting a for each loop for the list of contacts. For items, for each item, you are just making it as a contact. Then, do you guys remember this? List. So, is it ordered or unordered?
List or ordered.
Ordered one, right? So inside the list ordered list, you are putting a key. Sometimes we were putting some like ID, right? Think about like that. There is a key, which is contact.id. You are getting the ID of it. And then you are just inserting contact.name, comma, contact.title. It can go through like this. Basically, you are rendering the list in the HTML like this way. He's gonna explain much more better than me, I'm sure. But you guys need to ask questions while Sanjay is showing something. For example, yesterday he was saying that about what was it? Let me log in from here. He was just showing about the Lightning app, right? Which I have never used it before. That's why I have never mentioned about anything this Lightning application. But what did we do? We just why did we use this application? Let me ask you.
To test, to
Test
see
what?
our Oro component code.
The preview option, I guess.
To see.
To see from here. Okay. So why did we use this Lightning application for these two, but not for the third one?
Because when we at the beginning, when we create this component, we clicked some of the checkboxes to make this available.
You mean right here?
Yeah,
Okay. And what was the purpose for it? Since Sanjay didn't explain the details about this, but we talked about it previously.
yes. When we click some of these checkboxes, we are making our component available. For example, Lightning tab or Lightning page.
Yes, so we can make it available for the Lightning record page or any Lightning page. If we just click on these options. So if it is available in the page, we can still like insert them to the app to see on the preview, but like which one is better, because you are gonna see the whole component if you go to the UI side. If I add, for example, my third one is also here, but what I can see is nothing here. If
Yes,
I
see-
can,
Yeah, seeing from UI is much more better, I guess, but I don't know why we use this.
because there is no way we can test these are from the UI side for the number 1 and 2. Why? Because
Because
there
we
is no interface inside.
Okay.
And since there is no interface and there is no chance to check from the UI side, this is the only place we can check from the app, Lightning application.
But we are not gonna put them anywhere. Why we are checking? If we are not gonna place them.
Yeah, this one was like demonstration. In the actual life, you are not going to use it because whatever you are trying to do with the Aura components to make it visible to the UI side. So anyway, you are gonna use some interfaces while you are creating here. So you are not gonna create something without any interface. Otherwise, it's not gonna be visible on the UI side. The main purpose of the Aura component and Lightning Web component to make your UI site beautiful, just user-friendly. So for that, you need to use the interfaces here.
Maybe is it the reason, for example, if we write some codes here and then see on UI side, check UI side, but we don't want them to be active. Like we don't want anybody else to see that, but we want to check it. So maybe in that case, we should use the application.
I was thinking same thing.
I cannot say that is it. That's for it, because
Maybe one of the reasons.
even if you are trying to make it visible from the UI side, you can test it from there, and you can just like make it specific for the specific applications instead of making like org default. In that
Like
way,
for testing
yeah,
purposes.
you can technically restrict while you are inserting to the UI side.
Okay.
For example, you can just make it for the recruitment app. In that way, it's not going to be visible for the other applications. Or, for example, what did we do yesterday? We just made it for the accounts record page. It is right here. But if I try to go any record page, which is, for example, opportunity record page, it is totally different something. This is another interface for the user. We just made it for the account record page. It's not even for the contact.
Yeah, but the ones who has access to account records, if we don't want them to see that before we totally agreed on the design. So, but there should be some restrictions anyways, I guess.
Yeah, it is not a big deal. What you can do, you can just insert it. You can check from the UI side, for example, this one. Then you didn't like and you are gonna still work on it. You can just delete that interface temporarily. And it's not gonna appear here.
Yes.
Or what did we do? For example, yesterday, we just inserted right here, right?
Yes.
No, this is not functional. But while you are doing this kind of stuff, you are gonna work on the sandboxes, remember. Before you push them to the production side, you are gonna work on the sandboxes. While you are working on the developer sandbox or developer QA sandbox, nobody will be seeing this stuff except who is reaching that sandboxes.
May I ask you something, Mevlüt Bey? Sorry to
Yeah, sure. Does it
interrupt.
make sense? Because that sandbox is like another org for you, but it has sometimes partial copy of the production, which means not all the data inside that sandbox, but some example of that data from the production, it is inside the developer sandbox. So it is like your playground you are doing on the Trailhead. You are playing on it, you are building some stuff on it, and after you build and you said it is passing my tests, then it goes to the QAs, they are doing their tests. After everyone agree on that, then it is going to the production. So in that way, you don't need to worry about like, if I create something, the others can see. So since it is not completed totally, how it is gonna work? No need to worry about that. Is that the answer, Aslı, for your question? And Aslı is gone. Yes, Abdul, I am hearing.
Sorry, yes, that was clear.
Okay.
We learned the less code is it is good for Salesforce while we work.
That is the slogan from the Salesforce.
Yeah, so can we say, is there any answer for this? If we have a chance to create our component while we use app builder, or it matters according to use case. If requirement is using developer console, we have to use. We have to create.
Requirement is never gonna say you to use the developer console.
Okay.
But yes, Salesforce says they are creating some stuff with the less code. That is correct. But less code means, it doesn't mean you are not gonna use any code. Because think about like this, they are creating some stuff and that code is working behind of the scene already. Sometimes they are just giving you a chance to drag and drop like the Lightning App Builder. But sometimes, for example, we created this one with the flows, right?
Yes.
This is like a form. You can just make a button and you can just click on it and you can implement the same stuff. If there is no restriction for the use cases, you can create it with the flow.
Yes.
But you should know the flow very well to make it, because it is gonna getting complicated each and every time. So if you can satisfy the requirement with the flow, you can create it. But since you are working with a team, right? Inside the team, everyone is trying to create with the code, and you are insisting like, I'm gonna create it with the flow. No. Since this is a teamwork, they are gonna ask you to say you are a Salesforce developer. You should create with the Aura components. We are all doing that. They can say that.
Okay. And I'm sure maybe in the future we are gonna create more complicated components.
We need to, because like if you just think about the standard components here, for example, this one, what is complicated here? There are some buttons. Each and every button has different functions and is opening different forms for you. Think about this is the form. You created some kind of form here also, and you can enter some values. They put some icons here, but each and every of these they are another function, and you can find over the Salesforce design system library.
Yes.
And why they are saying like they have this libraries, I'm not sure if it is here. Yeah, it is here. So for this, it is already here. That's why they say less code. Salesforce is expecting you to, like, if you are going to use something like this, it is already here. I already built it with my code and it is working with the Salesforce really fine. So you can just come here, take it, use it, and these are the classes you needed. That's why they call it less code. But it doesn't mean you are not going to use any coding. Somehow, anyhow, you have to use the code. That's why try to build with the code. But according to the experience, like according to the company, they are gonna describe like maybe they are gonna ask you to start with the like flows, that kind of duties they are gonna give. Then later on they are gonna check and they are gonna check your code skills, and then they are gonna decide to give you some Lightning Web Components, that kind of stuff. Because they are gonna ask you, like, do you have Lightning Web Component experience? If you say no, nobody's gonna give you the Lightning Web Component codes. But the most important thing here for the Lightning Web Component and the Aura component also, JavaScript skills. And for the JavaScript, there is another certificate, JavaScript Developer Certificate. That is really important. I cannot trust myself yet, but as soon as I feel that, I would like to get it, because it is gonna open some extra doors. Any other question about the Aura components?
I'm good.
Yeah, you guys can ask, and I want you guys to ask more questions to Sanjay. Since like yesterday, I noticed that Sanjay is saying something different than me about the Lightning component. That's why I jump into the call and I just ask, because I want to discuss in front of you guys. In that way, you can learn deeply. Otherwise, I know the differences and I can say that. And even Sanjay says they just mentioned like the Aura components, but as soon as I said like that, yeah, both of them are the Lightning components, but blah, blah, blah, blah. So ask as much as you can. This is my way to learn. I believe I'm learning more like that. Expecting you guys to do the same thing. All right. So another thing, how we can write some expressions inside a component. If you are writing down inside the HTML, it is different. And if you are writing down over the JavaScript, which I show you here. So can you, oh, this is gone. Okay, I'm gonna find it. So I want you guys to check this part with this one. Import Lightning element from LWC. Import Lightning element API from LWC. Export default class to do item. This is the name of the class. Extends Lightning element. So basically, these two, it is same. except this API annotation here. And if you notice that we are using the API decorator item name. So what was the purpose for this API?
Make it public.
Yep. If you just say that, it is gonna be enough. But you should know, it is up to you. You can memorize it, you can learn it, whatever it is, just do it because they can ask about the LWC. How to call controller function in a component. So for this one, if you are inside the HTML, this is the way to do it. You are just writing down a Lightning input tag. It is ending here. Inside that, you are giving some like type, label, and on change. Then you are just giving handle change to reach the controller. But if you are typing that inside the JavaScript, then you are using this one, handle change event. If you guys remember, like about the Aura components, there was like different type of events, and on click was one of the event. Same thing here, handle change is another event. Then you are just calling this dot are details visible event dot target dot checked to reach the controller. You are calling the controller from where? In component. I know it doesn't make sense right now, but while you are typing with Sanjay, it's gonna make more sense. This is another annotation, Aura enabled cacheable true. So I'm just gonna check that one inside this documentation. That's Aura enabled. Cacheable true. Right here. Let me read it. This annotation, it exposes the method to Lightning components and caches the return list on the client. It is providing the list on the client side for the Lightning components and caches. So if you would like to get more information, it is right here. But do you would like to learn more details about this? It is up to you guys. The usage is like this. Like the feature method, you are typing at the beginning, then you are gonna continue rest of your code.
So my understanding, it looks like gonna go on like the process builder after flows shows up with the update. Probably this one will end soon. I'm not talking upcoming release, but looks like everybody gonna use the LWC. So Aura
It always happens that way in Salesforce. But for the coding side, it takes lots of time, I should say, because what's happening, if any company, they used to use the Aura or they used to use the Visualforce previously, nobody can force them to go to the new technology, but during the time they are gonna feel it and they are gonna switch to the Aura component. And since this LWC is almost 2 years or something like that, so they are switching to the Lightning Web Component. But still, there are some, as a Turkish people, we don't like reading usually. But if we read, there are lots of sources. It is ready by the Salesforce. All this documentation, each and every release, they are putting some notes. Like when you, for example, when you get in your org, you are gonna see some stuff here. Like it says new guidance center learning source resource available. Did you guys check anything here?
No,
I
for me.
Mark all as red.
Yeah, so if we read, that is really more details, and the knowledge Sanjay is having right now, he's reading all this kind of stuff. And we are thinking it is easy to ask someone. Yes, it is easy, but most of us, we don't like reading. I don't know if we have any exception here.
If
Is
I'm not
that-
struggling with an issue, I'm not reading too, just watching the video, trying to find out a way to figure it out, something like that. But
Since we are in the beginning, we can dig into more and learn more, but we are just trying to do it whenever we need it, because right now, we don't need to bookmark anything, because just Google it and figure that out. But sometimes it is like a trash can. You can see lots of information, but you don't know how to use, or you don't know the history of it, so it doesn't make sense. That's why most beneficial guidance, it is already provided by the Salesforce. So we need to check the Salesforce guidance first. And I mentioned previously, I believe, this is just for the Lightning Aura components developer guide, it says. Sanjay was saying there is no Lightning Aura components, right? Inside the org, it doesn't mention anything, but it is right here. Because Aura is Lightning component and Lightning LWC is also Lightning Web component. So they separate the guidance also. But whenever you need any annotation, you can just type it. Say add. Yeah, like this. Just search it. And just try to find the Salesforce source. Then you are gonna end up here. After that point, you can just start reading. And you can check some examples here. For now, this information will be enough, like why we are using the Aura enabled, cacheable true, because this way we can get a list from the client side for the Lightning components and caches. It is gonna return the list of client. So this information is enough for us right now, but if we needed more, we need to dig into it, at least Google it and check the Salesforce sources. All right. Lightning Web Components provides methods that allow you to hook your code up to the critical events in the component's lifecycle. These events include when a component is created with the constructor, added to the DOM. If you ask me what is the DOM, I don't remember now. Document object model. Rendered in the browser, this is the method. Encountering errors, error callback method. Removed from the DOM. Let me type it here also. Since I already shared with you guys, maybe you can add also here. So basically, the left side shows what you can do, like when you can see these components, and right side shows the method how to do it. You don't need to memorize anything here. But this is the life cycle. Any question?
No.
No? All right. It is possible you can get a question about the lifecycle flow inside the Lightning Web Component. But do you really need to memorize all this stuff? No, you can just give them a couple of them. Because they cannot expect you to know all this life cycle flow by the memory. Constructor called on parent, this is the first step, and public property value of the parent is going to be updated, and parent will be inserted to the document object model, and the other method will be running connected callback method on the parent. Right here. And parent will be rendered, then rendered callback method will be called on the parent. When the parent render, what's happening? Constructor called on child. If you notice this is the first step for parent. Now it is first step for the child. The property, public property value of the child will be updated. This is the second step. Child will be inserted to the document object model, which is the third. And connected callback method will be called on child instead of parent. Child will be rendered, this step, and this is the inside step. So rendered callback method will be called for the child. Basically, it is repeating itself for the parent and child. But I know it doesn't make sense for now. There are 3 ways to work with the Salesforce data. Use the base Lightning components built on Lightning Data Service. And these are the forms. So Lightning Record form is the basic one. Lightning Record View form. Lightning Record Edit form. These 3 forms. We can use the Lightning Data Service wire adapters and functions, Lightning UI, API module, and we can use the Apex also. So these forms, I'm just gonna check. And find the documentation here. And also, I believe these are also inside that. Okay, let me check this one first. And yeah, inside the library. Okay, this is the record form. This is the usage. So you are using as a tag and beginning and ending tag also. And you can, if you are gonna make it just view, which they can only view, they cannot do any edit, or you can just make it edit form. In that way, they can edit it. I'm not talking about the inside of it yet, but whenever you need to use one of these forms, then you can come here and you can just copy from here. And you can do some updates according to your requirement. But this is the form for the edit form, record edit form. So the templates and everything is ready. The only thing, it is just waiting for you to change according to the requirement. I'm not sharing any kind of link, but basically you can see I'm just searching, Googling it, and I'm just trying to make sure these are like Salesforce sources and they are available inside the Lightning Salesforce library, I should say. This is for the Lightning Web Component. Sometimes I feel like I'm torturing you guys, but I have to.
It's
All
okay.
right. Lightning Data Service. We can talk about this, then we can keep the rest for the Monday. What are 3 ways to work with the Salesforce data? We already talked about this right here. Lightning Data Service. This one manages the data for changes to a record are reflected in all the technologies built on it, and data form Apex is not managed. You must refresh the data. I am not really having that much knowledge about this Lightning data service, but while we are seeing with Sanjay, we can ask him a bunch of questions. Lightning data service does a lot of work to make code perform well. What are they? It loads the records data progressively, caches results on the client, invalidates cache entries when dependent Salesforce data and metadata change, optimize server calls and bulkifying the data. So, as I said, if you ask me, I am not really having lots of knowledge about this. So we can check with Sanjay. So how many more torture for you guys? I have like 10 slides left. We can try to complete on Monday. After then, I am gonna provide you guys some example for the resume. And also I'm gonna give you tell me about yourself. In that way, you can prepare that one also. Try to memorize until your interview date. The earliest one is Thursday. So at least you guys have 3 days. After then, it's gonna continue with the all interviews. And
So we are gonna be responsible for the tell me about yourself part as well,
yes,
including admin and
yeah.
development.
In the beginning, I know it's gonna be hard, some kind of hard, because first time you are gonna go through like that. But since we are gonna do 4 more interviews, then the other 3 you are gonna be more comfortable, and it's gonna be like video call, and not only me. I'm just gonna invite a couple friends to join the calls with me, or maybe separately. In that way, you guys can see new faces, and like you can expect like different kind of questions they might ask. It is possible. I try to wide open for this interview questions, but still it depends on the company. It depends like what they are looking for. They can ask some questions like out of the scope. So it is possible. If you don't know, you need to like just politely say them you don't have experience on that, or you couldn't get a chance to work on that, or it is something like, can you give me more details about the question? I didn't get exactly what you are saying. Some kind of like you are gonna play on the words and try to get some clue.
Are they gonna be for the first interviews as well, or later? Yeah.
No, the first
Okay.
interview, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can expect some kind of stuff, and I want you guys to revise your knowledge according to the interview questions. Like, don't try to go like, I forget this thing. For example, yesterday, we were getting hard time about like remembering creating an app page, something like that. And obviously some stuff was changed over there by Salesforce. So these are possible, it can happen, but what we need to do, like we don't need to go through all the videos. According to the interview questions, if you feel comfortable, It is fine. If you feel you have some like knowledge is fading, then you can go to that specific video. That's why I try to put all the details inside the videos. So I suggest you guys to just review that kind of videos. Otherwise, if you try to go through each and every video, it's just gonna give you some waste of time. Yeah, that is all from my end for the today. If you guys have any question, I can just try to answer.
So is that tell me about yourself part going to be about our
It is gonna,
experience,
it is gonna be about like your
like
team.
work experience? Okay.
It is gonna be about like what was your role inside that team, and it is gonna be about like what did you do as a Salesforce developer. So that can change, or you might make some small changes on it, but most of the thing it is prepared for the like 2 years and 2.5 years experience, something like that.
Mhm.
So you can go through that, and if you have any question, you can just shoot me and I can answer it. But you should give them some structure of your team, which you are not aware of it right now.
Right. Yes.
That's why like this is different than your resume, because inside your resume you don't need to mention anything because it's just specific to you. But as a team member, you should know, like as an experienced Salesforce developer, you should know the like structure of your team, that kind of stuff.
Mhm. Okay.
Since we are completing this, I'm gonna ask Chilem to explain about the team structures, agile methodology. It's not gonna take more than a week, so maybe when I start I need to check with her, but maybe when I start the interviews, the others can go through that classes with her, because anyhow you need to know about the agile methodology and the others. She's gonna explain. It's not something huge, but sometimes instead of like waiting lots of detailed questions about the like coding and everything, they can ask you these kind of like questions, and you should be able to give them some like basics at least. So because it doesn't mean all the companies needs to like 100% obey this rules, but most of the IT companies, they are following some kind of this methodology. So that's why you guys should know, and while you are explaining, you can explain it accordingly. Any other question?
But Mevlüt Bey, that person who is making in interview with you, he will miss that class, that informations which Çilem Hanım is gonna explain.
Yeah, no worries. Don't worry about that part right now. It is something in a week you are gonna be done, which means like in a few days, a few classes will be enough. And inside that, it is just gonna explain the structure of the teams and like what kind of people, what are the roles. When you hear the Scrum Master, what is the job for them? When you heard for the like business analyst or like what can I say?
Salesforce
Project managers, like
architects.
these kind of roles and their duties. It is all about.
Yeah. If I have not to miss any of that lesson, because I think I need more than everybody.
Yeah, nobody work here as a IT member, so
I don't know.
Yes, this is all very foreign to us. I have no idea either, like how an
Yeah,
IT
yeah.
team is structured and what do they do. It's all new to us. But
Most of
this is going to be recorded, right? So we can
yes,
always
it is gonna be recorded, and also like while talking on the interview, you should always mention about the teamwork. You can assume like yourself is a like football team player. So even if you try to do something personally, you should stop yourself sometimes because of the team's goal, or like it is all about like working together. She's gonna mention that kind of stuff later on. I don't wanna get involved with, but it's all about like teamwork and what kind of structures and what kind of methodologies they are like following up as a IT companies.
Sounds good, Mevlüt Bey. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.